Hey everybody, it's Trevor Connor with Hearts and Minds, and you're listening to the Get Mental podcast. This show is bringing technique and tools and science and stories all together in one place for those who have a desire of making not only athletes and teams better at performance, but also making them a better human being. On this episode, we're going to be joined with Coach Dave Matthews and myself as we get to know one another a little bit and allow you, the audience, being able to listen in and hear some stories, examples, learn a little bit about Dave, myself, our backgrounds, where we come from. I'm so pumped that you're here. Without further ado, let's get mental. Dave, where are you from?
My name is Dave Matthews. I am from Columbus, Ohio. I currently live in Los Angeles, California. And I have a master's degree in sports psychology. I was a former college athlete, Division II, as well as did some coaching, D1 track and field coaching. After that, I went to the military and was doing a lot of performance psychology work with our men and women in the military for 3 years. After that, moved to LA and started working for tech and mental health tech. So I used to work for Calm, the meditation app. And from there, been doing tech ever since. Most recently, I'm working with athletes. I've been working with athletes for the past 8 years, ever since I left college. And I'm so excited to be building this app with you, focused on mental fitness. For our athletes out there and bringing mental fitness to the masses. I think sport is the most underutilized, underrepresented, especially when it comes to mental health and mental wellness populations right now.
Very good. And how did we meet?
We met at Spire in Cleveland, Ohio. At the Olympic Training Facility, Spire, Cleveland, Ohio. I was an intern. And Trevor was the head of mental training at Spire. And I always tell this story, and it's one that I'll die with. It is one.
I know the story. I know it. Sorry.
So it was 2 hours before a session, and Trevor said, I forget what you said. Basically, I'm not feeling it. I don't think that I can, do the session today. I'm going to give it to you. I think that you should roll with it. And I was like, oh, awesome. Like, part of me was super stoked. I was excited. And then another part of me was like, I only have 2 hours to plan to give this delivery. And I'm like, you know what? They're like 14 years old. It'll be fine. So I walked in there, delivered what I was supposed to deliver. And I thought, it was a little rocky, but I didn't think it was that bad, right? They're 14 years old. We played some games. We did some stuff. And I presented it. So coming off of that, I wasn't on a high, but it wasn't on a low, but I was ready for some feedback, man. I was ready for some coaching. I was really hungry. I wanted to get after it. So, I walk up to Trevor and, he says, how do you think that went? And I said, I don't think I really drove the point home of, I think it was imagery, of visualization and imagining yourself there and that type of thing. And, I thought that I got some blank stares with the other kids. So, maybe, I don't know, like 70%, maybe give me a C, I guess. So it's passing grade, but I think there are some points that I could do better. If you could be more specific, that'd be great. Trevor looks me dead in the eyes. And he says, that was the worst presentation I have ever seen. If my kid was there, I would ask for my money back. And I was shocked, but I don't think that he saw that on my face. I hope maybe he did. I don't know, or my heart on my sleeve. So after that, I'm like, whoa, this dude just totally kicked my butt. This is a profession that I want to be in. I'm second guessing myself, second guessing the profession. I go and I, have a couple of beers with my friends and I'm like, dude, I don't think I'm going to show up tomorrow. I think I might just call in sick. And then if I get sick tomorrow, I might just not feel it, just, call it quits. And it was, it's kind of like the dark night of the soul. I had to get myself back up. And again, being an athlete, we're taught to dust ourselves off and keep going and persevering. I'm glad that I went in the next day. And Trevor, I had some resentment. I was a little angry, I was a little irritated, but I was like, I'm going to show this guy, and I wasn't as clean as I am now. I'm not going to say what I was actually thinking. But yeah, it was after that, and Trevor said, I'm just kind of busting you up there. You did all right, but it still wasn't great. But it wasn't the worst presentation I've ever seen. I was like, all right, thanks.
Yeah. I remember that presentation very well. And it wasn't near as bad, but what I wanted you to be able to, I wanted to be able to observe and see, can this guy handle tough feedback and tough critical feedback, even if I'm from a place of strong opinion and perhaps even wrong? And I want to commend, I commended you back then, but now 10 years later, I'm looking back again, 11 years later, whenever it was, you handled that with class, absolute class. And Yeah, you may have been thinking some thoughts. I know you're thinking some thoughts. I know I went below the belt and punched hard, but it was purely to encourage and push and to challenge you. And
I was challenged, all right.
I think back though, what makes some of the best coaches that you've ever had before? What made them special? They're willing to challenge you and push you further than what you thought you could do. And I wanted to drive home a further point because I saw potential in you. I saw so many great things in you that I knew that you were going to be successful in this field. But I wanted you to have an awesome experience being an intern, and wanted to also challenge you that even if you're a C, don't accept mediocrity. And, from a mission standpoint, from a business, we don't tolerate that, from our own staff, from our own selves. So I ask the athletes a lot on a scale 1 to 10, where's your commitment level? Training, and willing to gauge your mental training. 1 or 10. If they give me anything less than a 10, we stop that right on its head, and we have a come to Jesus moment right there and say, wait. How would you feel if I showed up and I give you a 6 effort? How would you feel about that? Like, wait, what? That's possible? You can do that? Sure, I can do that. But no coach would ever do that. And I think there's a misconception sometimes of what kind of effort level you want to give. And I saw greatness in you, and I wanted you to see it as well. And part of that was that tough challenge I issued. So what a great story. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Well, no, the story was, hey, it's something I remember forever, but it was also a lesson, right? And it was a lesson, and it was an opportunity. It was an opportunity to go one of two ways. And I think that we're always presented with these opportunities in life, but I think rarely do we really look at them as such, right? We would look at them as, man, that was the most stressful period of my life, or you would attribute that to like, man, that sucked, or like, that guy was an a-hole, and he challenged me in a way that like I was like, screw that. And you have two options here, right? It's is it going to be a challenge of your character and who you are? And I think that that's the Hearts and Minds mission, really, is yes, sport is the arena to which the fuel to which you can decipher that and find out for yourself. How resilient are you? Are you willing to bounce back when presented with an opportunity to get tough feedback? Are you going to internalize it? Are you going to say like, man, beat yourself up about it? Or are you going to dust yourself off, come back and willing to learn?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really tough. But I think that's part of where you're from, right? What's your background, Trev, if you don't mind? Tell the audience who you are.
So I was born and raised in a small town, Southwest Iowa, and played all sports growing up, all sports. So I'm from a small town, about 8,000 people. And if you're a decent athlete in one sport, you're kind of expected to compete in other sports too. And I remember getting recruited by other coaches in other sports to make sure I'm going out. And if I wasn't, I'm not doing the off-season stuff, then there's kind of this social pressure and the coach pressure, and all the coaches get along and they all work to make sure all the programs are successful. And I was very blessed and fortunate to have a really good, really solid group of other athletes around in my class growing up. So I was a pretty strong athlete. I had college scholarship opportunities in football, basketball, and baseball. And baseball was where I wanted to play. And I had some really great offers in baseball, but I ended up choosing a Division II school because I wanted to play straight away. Scholarship, played throughout my second, third, fourth years, struggled with all kinds of injuries. One of the assistant coaches turns out to be a good friend today, but called me the glass man privately. And all kinds of weird injuries, all kinds of. We should do storytelling sometime. I'd tell you some of the stupidest things that held me out from playing baseball. It just horrible stuff. Anyway,
the Psychology of Injury podcast for sure.
We should probably develop a whole masterclass for it. Yeah, I ended up playing Division II baseball. Towards the end of my playing career, I knew I was getting a degree in psychology, and I was actually doing a lot of beginning sports psych reading and studying and applying on myself because I needed it. I was struggling. I went through a lot of injuries, a lot of setbacks, a lot of challenges on and off the field as well. That just, I wasn't a good student my first 2 years. I partied, I went out, I chased girls. I didn't do the stuff that you should if you're going to take school seriously. I just didn't. And anyway, junior year comes around, I finally buckled down, got accepted. I don't tell this often, but I get accepted into grad school with a 2.79 GPA.
Nice.
Yeah.
If there's academic probation, yeah, that's me. I was getting in on grad school on that. And again, I don't tell this often, but like, it was the only grad school I applied for, and I wrote a heck of a letter, and I was as polished as I could be, but I owned the fact that my first 2 years, I was a punk. I wasn't in the right headspace. But my last 2 years was a totally different story. The changes I made, the behaviors that I adapted, the people and the influences that I hung around, the mindsets, the goals that I had those last 2 years, that changed everything. And I was willing to go to another year of undergrad, even though I graduated, to improve that GPA, because I knew I had a desire I wanted to help people. So I got my master's degree in guidance and counseling, setting me up to be a school counselor, if I continued on to be a school psychologist, PhD level. And after about a year in the program, I realized I'm already too far, by the way. A year in is a 2.5 year program, but I'm already too far in, where if I stop now, it's really hard to like find another degree path and make those credits line up, and I'd already spent too much money. It makes sense just finish the thing. But I realized real quick that, I wanted something more, and sport was such a big part of me, and it always had been, and I wanted something more, wanted to work in sport somehow, didn't know, and applied for a shot in the dark chance. Thanks to a university professor on campus, she had encouraged me to apply to IMG Academy down in Florida. Applied, went down there, and that whole experience, Dave, that you were talking about, of being hit hard from a supervisor, of that presentation was horrible. Happened to me 2011 in the fall, and I got hit with some of the most hard-hitting feedback that I'd ever got, and I won't share her name, but I love her to death. I am so thankful for her. She's still at IMG and a very big part down there, and really, really appreciate that, because that woke me up, and that snapped me out of like, mediocrity is not okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I wasn't raised with that mentality.
Yeah.
But when I was there and I heard that, and the message and the feedback that she gave me and the critique that she gave me over the session that I taught, it was a shot to the chest of, yeah. I didn't go out and have drinks that night. I could have. I should have. Maybe I should have. But no, it was an impact that I call those anchors, emotional anchoring moments, where they hit hard, they hit heavy, and you remember them. You remember the place, the sound. It's an emotional moment that changes you, and that moment changed me. At that moment on, I took everything I did. All my prep work was ultra serious. Every session I did was ultra serious, and the dedication. My commitment level was like at 8 or 9 then. After that, it's a 10, and it stays on a 10, and it's stayed on a 10 for the last 10 years, 12 years now, since 2011. So anyway, after IMG, went to Spire Institute in Geneva, Ohio. It's a suburb outside of Cleveland. Well, no, so it's 45 miles outside of Cleveland, northeast, and was the director of mental performance out there for 13 through 16. After that, I allowed my wife to go chase her dream job, and God bless her, she did. So we moved to Kansas City. After Kansas City, we moved down to Texas, where I'm currently, and Hearts and Minds was founded in 2018 here in Texas, and worked with a lot of athletes, so many athletes, too many to count. And I think the most rewarding part about what we do, Dave, is hearing from athletes as they grow, but the messages and the things that we taught and instilled in them, they come back and they say, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember that? Hey, I'm still using blank. And I write about some of the stories in my book, but I hear from athletes on a yearly basis. And it's such a rewarding feeling of knowing that you've impacted somebody's life. And I think if that was missing from my job and what we do, I think we'd close shop right now. And that's the light bulb for me. I live for that light bulb moment. I live for that click of they get it, they got it, and it's like, okay, get out of my way.
Yeah.
I live for that because when you see it, it's special. It's so special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I absolutely love stories like that, and it kind of reminds me up here of the superhero stories, right? That's your superhero origin story, and kind of like why you keep fighting the fight that you do, right? And all of us have that, right? Whether it's a super villain, right, that keeps us going, or whether it's I think in the case of Spider-Man, someone that was close to them that died, right? And it's with great power comes great responsibility, but it's what does keep you going, and I'm the same way. It's definitely the stories, the people that that say like, hey, you helped me be the best version of myself on the golf course or on the basketball court, and those lessons I learned, be able to control my emotions, bounce back in the face of adversity. I still use those today in my daily life, whether it's the relationships that I have with my significant other, communication style, things of that nature, or whether it's the hustle and the grind of work every single day, or to get my degree, and just kind of saying like, hey, these skills that you taught me are super transferable into other aspects of my life, and I thank you for that. So yeah, no, I live for those as well.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really easy to become numb to them if you see them frequently and if you see them a lot. And for me, I learned very early in my career never to take those things for granted. And the amount of value I personally, and from a company standpoint, I place on every athlete's life that we interact with, like, this special. I don't care who they are. I don't care where they come from. I don't care how many gold medals they have around their neck. I don't care how many trophies. I don't care how many millions they're worth or not worth. To me, I see every human life as incredibly valuable. And from our company's standpoint, we want to be a part of change that impacts lives, makes them more resilient, makes them more confident, makes them more consistent, makes them more competitive. But that's all cool. But I care a lot more about who they are and what drives you as the person. And you can chase both of those simultaneously. They don't have to be in opposition of each other or one lagging behind. No, they got to work together in tandem. And that was something I said back when I was working at those previous sites, is like, if ever given the opportunity to have a business, to be able to hire my own team, to be able to train our own staff, to be able to bring others into our sphere of influence, and to be able to work with athletes, that's the one thing I never want to compromise. And that is the ability to go off script if that individual needs to be built up from a self-esteem, a self-identity standpoint, to be encouraged, to be cheered on. Like, dude, completely abandon what you're doing on self-talk if there's a need here that this person needs to know that they're valued. And I think, to me, that's the most important distinction that we do a really good job at. And that is letting our athletes know that we care and our word means something.
Yeah. And from a product standpoint, we also follow through on that, right? And that's the free products that we have out there, which is the Focus 5 app, and how individuals can communicate with us directly in the app. And so we're super accessible, right? I want to be able to, communicate with people and help them on a daily basis whenever they need it. And that's like one of the things that we want to do, is constantly give that back, because we feel like that was lacking, especially when we were athletes. And now more than ever, I think athletes are emotionally and invested and need some sort of mental wellness support, mental fitness support. And we're here to offer that. So yeah, I'm super excited, super over the moon that we're able to offer those mental fitness techniques at scale to people for free that need them the most.
Dave, I know you've been working hard on a project. Give everybody a little bit of a glimpse about what you're working on. Where's it going? Where did it start? With the origin real quick. See if you can button it up. Tell everybody, where did we start, what happened, and then where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we have tiered products as far as the mental fitness things that we're giving out to individuals. But what I'm super jazzed up and excited about is the Academy. So it's our version, Hearts and Minds Academy, and that's where the free app, 5 minutes a day, content, talking with us, awesome. You could do one-on-ones if you want to sign up for one-on-ones. That's great. But we are developing a full curriculum with Academy, and we're talking all of the science of psychology, all the science of psychobiology, neuroscience, all mixed into an academy setting to really get your hands dirty with some techniques, especially mental fitness techniques. So the first academy that we're having right now is our Resilience Academy, and it's 8 weeks. And the one thing that I've hated about education is that it's super theoretical, and I want things that people can apply quickly. And so we're really focused on, we took something from the physiological science domain, which is reps and sets. So if you go lifting in a gym, it's kind of like your mind gym. If you go lift in a gym, you're going to have a workout, which is a skill. And then you're going to learn how to do the skill acquisition. And then you're going to perform reps and sets of that skill, right? So working your muscles to hypertrophy. The same thing that's going to happen here within our mental fitness resiliency course is an 8-week course to learn the skill, acquire the skill, the knowledge of the skill, and then apply it through reps and sets. Now, whether that's self-talk, whether that's meditation, mindfulness, whether that's gratitude or a gratitude practice, and we measure those things via your adversity tolerance, right? Or your tolerance to adversity, which essentially is something is going to happen in your external environment which you're going to have to overcome. And your tolerance of adversity fluctuates. And we talk about why that is, right? Is that internal? Is that external? And what are the things that you can control inside that? So I'm super excited. It's via enrollment only. We're only accepting athletes that are 100% committed to improving their mental game and are really serious about this. So again, if you're a 7 out of 10 on commitment, if you're an 8 out of 10, frankly, we don't want you. We want people that are super committed and very hungry to improve their mental game and to be resilient and see where that exactly comes from. So yeah, super excited about it.
We built this same kind of academy structure out a couple of years ago before COVID had actually happened. And we actually had a handful of athletes that they said that they were a 10 out of 10 committed. And then within one session, their commitment dropped to a 7. And we actually ended up dismissing those athletes from the academy. This is a no joke academy where we are after serious individuals who are serious in return. Again, we present, and I know, Dave, you echoed this too, you're a 10 out of 10. And that's what we expect and demand from our athletes. And this is intense. So this is roll up your sleeves, get down to it. If you can, share with those that are watching, what's 1 or 2 objectable measures that they know that they're going to become more resilient? How are they going to be able to hang their hat on what success is and what success means to you?
Yeah. So as far as adversity, so as far as resiliency is concerned, it's kind of like the concept of confidence, where it is multidimensional in a lot of ways. The things that you're going to take from this course is you are going to start with a resilience score of X, and we're going to improve that over the course of 8 weeks to get to an outcome of actually tangibly improving your resilience on a measurable scale. And the way in which we do that are a variety of ways. But essentially, when you come up against adversity, what are the thoughts that you have? Can you change those thoughts, reframe them? Are they accurate, first of all? The brain tells you so many lies. It's insane. And so we'll talk a lot about the biases that we have, confirmation bias, things of that nature that kind of get in the way of our mindset, and then saying, how can we measurably get better? A really good example of this is one of our athletes is actually doing an ice bath, right? So that's a way in which they're actually getting to be resilient. And again, you could talk about this all you want, but I want something that's actually tangible that you're going to leave with, right? So we have this capstone project, and in the capstone project, you have to get uncomfortable. Essentially, that's what it's like. You have to get uncomfortable. The way in which you do that is totally up to you. Maybe it's taking an ice bath once a week and saying, oh, wow, I got uncomfortable. Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier. Maybe it's cutting out sugar from your diet. That's pretty uncomfortable, right? We're trying to do something and have the athlete identify, give them autonomy, say, hey, you have the freedom to decide, what do you want to do? Is it, maybe you want to run a mile per day, and that's uncomfortable for you, right? So there are big R resiliency stories in life all the time, like people that overcome Auschwitz. Maybe they survived 9/11. Whatever it is, that's big R resiliency. I used to work with soldiers in the military, and we would call that big R resiliency. Or there's small R resiliency, which is, did I snooze my alarm this morning? Or did I pop out of bed and do what I was supposed to do, which, whatever that is, whatever your goals were for that day? Or did you get cut off in traffic on the way to work? And small R resiliency was, instead of slamming on the horn and, going crazy, flicking people off and doing all sorts of things, you actually took a breath and you said, you know what? I'm going to let that go, right? That's small R resiliency. Those little things on a daily basis that you could be doing. So yeah, those are, and I hope we answer your question. Those are like the tangible ways in which we want people to improve, is to say, hey, how are you going to get uncomfortable? How can you measure that? And here are some skills to which self-talk, meditation, mindfulness, energy management, emotional management, emotional regulation, and how can we flex those mental muscles in order for you to overcome that? So yeah, get uncomfortable.
That's awesome. And I'm very excited to be bringing that back in a revamped manner. We're going to have an application page up here shortly where athletes, individuals, families, they can apply. And then when they apply, what's the application process look like?
Yeah, so as soon as you apply, what you would do is you're going to take a mental fitness assessment. After that, you would schedule a call with myself or you, Trevor, and then we interview the athlete, interview the parents, and we say, hey, is this a quality individual that we would like to enroll into our academy? So really, I mean, it's just an interview process, just like any private school would or any private education would do. There's that application process. So sometimes you might have a letter of intent, especially if we are on the fence about the acceptance process. We would have the athlete write a formal letter of intent, and then we review all of those and we select who we want to be a part of our course.
Well, I know that there's one thing that we're taking a look to is a certification program as well, certifying them to be able to really sink their teeth into knowing we accomplished something here. This is not just we went through a course and therefore, hey, we learned cool stuff. No, this is a full-on application. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a staple offering that Hearts and Minds is going to be different than anybody else in our space. The other thing that I'm really, I think, excited about is it's in a cohort of up to 10 athletes.
Right.
And when you're learning with others, you're not on your own isolated island journey that so many athletes think that they are.
Yep. Yeah, you're
suffering along with them,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing in the military too. Like when you go to BUD/S or basic training or anything like that, there's a lot of other people that are also going through the challenges that you're going through as well. So there is some camaraderie there. We also have guest speakers. We have a full workbook that we also give individuals. And some of these guest speakers are from different backgrounds and varieties too. We have some athletes that'll come in, some college athletes, some professional athletes, some former professional athletes, some military men and women that'll come in and kind of talk to a lot of the people that are going through the Resilience Academy course, or they'll make a cameo in a setting like this, and then we upload the video to the app. We actually have an app for the Academy course that you would all go through, and then to Trevor's point, certification process there on the back end too. So we're given the kitchen sink and some. We're doing everything that we can to help these athletes out that are a part of the Academy course, and the Academy experience is not taken lightly. But it is a ton of fun, so much good learning. So yeah, I'm super excited.
And last, what do parents get out of this? We're talking so much about the athletes, but what do parents get?
Parents get a more resilient child, right? That's again, inside or outside of their sport. We also get free calls too to parents as well. So we host, I think it's 2 times per Academy cycle, so once a month. You get that, as well as full access to myself and Trevor, the instructors, as well as even guest instructors that come on to talk one-on-one with the parents, asking them, hey, what are you getting out of this? Are they actually doing the things that they say they're doing? We have some ways in which we're tracking metrics, which we can talk about a little bit better, but our app is compatible with the Apple Watch, right? So we can track different metrics. If you want better sleep, we could track the sleep. We could look at different ways in which you're getting uncomfortable And then also having a journal. Again, we have a full workbook too. So what are the parents getting? A more resilient child. 2 calls with us once a month to check in to kind of see how things are progressing and how they're going. And continued support from there.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm very excited, and I think it's going to be a fantastic offering that we're going to be able to offer for many years down the road. And this is the first of many academies that we're constantly in development for, really being able to help athletes right where they're at.